This is one of Fitness Blender's home total body toning workouts. In this workout routine, we're going to be doing 3 rounds through of 8 different exercises, and we're going to be doing 10 repetitions of each one of those exercises. Let's go ahead and get started with round number 1. Go ahead and grab your mat and head to the floor. We're going to be starting out in a full push-up position doing the T stabilization. Go ahead and get ready. And let's begin. Go ahead and move out in that full push-up position. We're going to start by rolling up onto that left side. You're going to come up and make a cross position with those arms. You want them straight in line from one to the other. Leaning out onto those feet. You want to rock those feet all the way back so those heels actually touch the ground each time. And just holding your body up using those obliques to support your weight. Trying to keep a nice straight line from your shoulders, your chest, all the way down through that spine, all the way to those ankles. Just nice and slow, alternate back and forth from side to side. Take a short little pause as you come up into that T position. Then slowly rock back over the other side. Now be really conscious of your speed as you go through this motion, because the faster you go, the harder it's going to be for that balance, and the more likely you're going to actually throw yourself back behind that arm as you come up onto that T stabilization. Just move nice and slow, under control. Slowly come up into that position, hold it, pause, and then slowly move back out of it. Alright, here's our last one right here. Bring it up and hold it. Get nice and comfortable. And slowly let it relax. Go ahead and stand up for that next exercise. This is the side lunge with reach. Go ahead and get ready. And let's begin. You're going to lunge out to the side, keeping the center leg nice and straight. The only leg that you want to bend is the one that you're stepping out with. You're going to reach across with that opposite hand down towards that foot. You want to try to get a nice rotation through those shoulders as you reach out towards that foot. And you want to try to get nice and low, trying to get those hips down about knee level or maybe even lower. Alright, you got one more on each side. It's your last one right here. And let it relax. Alright, we've got the walk down push-ups next. Standing on the end of that mat. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Reach down towards the floor like you're doing a regular toe touch. Keep those legs nice and straight. And then slowly step out with those hands, walking out a little bit further until you're down into a full push-up position. Then you just go down, do your push-up. And then walk right back up. This requires a fair amount of shoulder strength, so it might take you a little bit of time to build up to this. But you can always bend those knees a little bit if you need to, if those hamstrings are too tight, or just to make that walking motion with those hands just a little bit easier. And you can always drop down into a half push-up, so off of those knees, once you get out to that full plank position. But always try to push through that hardest version as long as you can control it. Alright, this is your last one right here. Go out, get that push up. Walk it back up. And let it relax. Alright, we're going to lay down on the mat for this next one. This is the leg extension crunch. We're working those legs as well as those abdominal muscles. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Those knees are going to stay tucked up over top of your body, and then you're going to swing those arms down by your hips, and at the same time as you crunch up, extend those legs out nice and straight. Now you can change the difficulty on this exercise quite a lot by where you place those legs once you extend those legs out. The lower those feet are towards the ground as you extend them, the harder it's going to be. Now if you're new to this and those abs aren't all that strong, then start with those feet going almost straight up over top of those hips. As those abs get more and more strength, you start lowering those legs closer and closer to the ground. Go back and check that form. Make sure those knees aren't coming in all that close over top of your body. As you swing those arms down, get a nice tight crunch, but as those arms come up over top of your head, try not to completely relax those abdominal muscles. You always want to keep them tensed as you're doing this motion. Just keep it going nice and smooth, under control, getting as much range of motion as you can out of that crunch each time. Trying to get as much of an extension on those legs as possible. Trying to get as low to the ground as you can. Almost done. Your last one right here. And let it relax. Alright, we're moving on to the tricep push-up to a shell stretch. So go ahead and roll over so you're facing down towards the ground. Go ahead and get ready. And let's begin. Starting a tricep push-up off of those knees, then sitting back into that shell stretch, holding for just a second, then right back out into that tricep push-up. Try to drop those hips down, get a nice straight line from your shoulder to your knee before you start dropping into that push-up. You don't want to be dropping down with those hips still kicked back behind you. Just keep that motion going nice and slow. Nice smooth motion going out forward, down into that push-up position, then nice and smooth pushing back onto those heels, stretching that chest out. Almost done. We have just one more repetition. Press out into that push-up. Nice and low. And then back onto those heels. Stretch it out. And let it relax. Alright, we've got a lunge with a high knee next. Go ahead and stand up. Get ready. And begin. You're going to be standing on that left leg. That right leg's the one doing the motion. Kick it back behind you, go down into that lunge position. As you come back up, bring that right knee and drive it straight up as high as you can. Then nice and slow, right back out into that lunge position. There is no pause in here. You don't want to bring those feet together before you bring that knee up. It's a full motion all the way from behind you, straight up as high as you can. All right, let's go ahead and switch those legs. So that right leg's going to be the one you're standing on now. Left leg's the one you're moving. Identical motion, pulling that knee forward and then kicking that leg back behind you, going into that lunge position. We're almost done. You got two more. It's your last one right here. And let it relax. All right, back to that mat. We're doing the downward dog with a leg raise. Go ahead and get ready. And let's begin. Move into that downward dog position. So you're doing a nice triangular position from your feet up to your hips, then nice straight line from those hips down to those wrists. So as you hold that position, we're going to start focusing on that right leg first. Bring it up behind you, nice tight squeeze on that butt, and then slowly dropping it back down, barely tapping that toe to the ground, and right back up again. Make sure you keep this a nice smooth motion. Don't kick that leg. You want to keep it under control the entire time, feeling like you could actually pause at any moment through that motion. It's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. We're going to switch those legs. So this time with that left leg, squeeze it up nice and high. Bring it back down, barely tap that toe, and then right back up again. Now keep watching your form through this one, because as those shoulders start getting tired from holding that downward dog position, your chest is going to start trying to lift up away from the floor. And you're actually going to break that triangular position. So keep trying to push that chest down towards the floor, keeping a nice straight line from your hip down to your wrist. Almost done. It's your last one right here. and let it relax. All right, we're going to move on to the plank rotation with kick. This is actually a great exercise for your core muscles, and it's quite difficult as well. Let's go ahead and get ready. And begin. Come up into that push-up position. That left leg's going to come across first. You're going to tuck it underneath you and then kick out to the side. Then bring it back, set it down. That right leg's going to do the same thing. Just alternating back and forth. Try not to let that foot touch. Try to keep it off the ground the entire time. Try to get a full extension on that leg as you kick it out to the side. Pulling up nice and high. Try to rotate those hips as much as you can, but don't let those shoulders rotate. You want to try to keep those shoulders as level with the ground, as flat across as you can. We're almost done. One more on the other side. And let it relax. Alright, go ahead and pause it here if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to move right on to round number 2. We're going to start back over with that T stabilization. Go ahead and get ready. And begin out into that push-up position. Remember opening up to the left side. Letting those feet rock all the way back so those heels touch the ground. Over to the right side. And back again. Just nice and slow, back and forth. If you want this to be more difficult for that balance, keep those feet nice and close together so as you rock over, those feet actually stack on top of each other. Otherwise, you can actually lift one of those feet completely off the ground, so as you turn to the left, so your left hand is on the ground, only that left foot's going to be on the ground. Then as you rotate back over to the right side, only that right foot touches the ground. It makes it much more difficult for balance, makes that core have to work a lot harder, makes those legs and hips have to work a lot harder. Otherwise, just keep doing just like we're doing here. Rock those feet off the side, keep them about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit more. Helps a little bit more for that balance. Just got a few more repetitions to do. And this is your last repetition right here. Hold it. And let it relax. Alright, moving on to the next one. This is a side lunge with a reach. Get ready. And begin. Now as you do this side lunge, try to make sure you're getting a really nice long step. You want to go as far as you can control. And remember that the leg you step away from, you want to keep perfectly straight, and the one you're stepping with, you want to get out there nice and wide. Try to keep that knee back behind that toe. Get a nice rotation to that torso as you reach across to the outside foot. Now watch yourself as you start getting tired. You're going to want to start putting your hand on top of that thigh that you step out with to give yourself a little bit of a push to get back up. Try to avoid touching your legs. You want to try to keep them up out of the way as best you can. We're almost done. One more on the other side. And let it relax. Alright, moving on to the next one, the walk down push-up. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, stretching down, touching those toes. Try to keep those legs as straight as you possibly can. Slowly walking out with those hands, doing a full push-up, then walking it right back up. I know this one's quite difficult, so take your time getting used to it. And if you need to, you can always turn that push-up into a half push-up, so off of those knees instead of those toes. You can even do this with a completely bent knee from the very beginning, so instead of doing a full toe touch, you can keep those knees slightly bent, makes it a little bit easier to touch the ground, makes it a little bit easier to walk out with those hands. But try to get back to the full version as quickly as you can. Alright, we got one more repetition. Slowly walking it out. Nice deep push-up. Walk it right back up. And let it relax. Alright, we're moving on to the next one. This is the leg extension crunch. So go ahead and grab that mat, roll over onto your back. Get ready. And begin. Remember, those arms swing down by those hips as you crunch up and extend those legs out. And slowly bring those hands back over your head. Always keeping those abs nice and tight, sucking that belly button in. Just nice fluid motion. Exhale as you crunch forward. Inhale as you lay back. Exhale, crunching forward, extending those legs. Inhale, extend those arms over your head. Now remember, the placement of those legs is going to make this exercise much more difficult or much more easy. If you kick those legs straight up above those hips as you come forward with that crunch, it's not going to be anywhere near as difficult, whereas if you extend those legs out really low to the ground, it's going to be much, much more difficult. So play around with the angle of those legs to find the position that's going to be most difficult for you, but still able to control that motion nice and smooth. Alright, just a couple more repetitions. Nice tight squeeze, you extend those legs out. Hands over your head, one more time. Bring those hands forward, crunch it up, extend those legs out, and slowly back. And let it relax. Alright, we're going to flip you over for this next one. This is the tricep push-up to shell stretch. Get a nice rest after every repetition. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. So that tricep push-up, you want to keep those elbows really nice and tight to that rib cage. Hands directly underneath that shoulder. And as you push up, back into that shell stretch, sit all the way back onto those heels, stretching those hands out in front of you, and then right back out into that push-up. Now make sure that push-up is almost an independent motion from that shell stretch. So you want to keep that back from shoulder to knee completely flat, down into your push-up and right back up before you actually start sitting back into those heels. So don't start kicking your hips up before you're done with that push-up. Alright, almost done. We got a couple more repetitions. And one more push-up. Sit back into those heels. Stretch those arms out. And let it relax. Alright, moving on to the next one. This is a lunge with a high knee. Doing off of a single leg. Go ahead and get ready. Starting with that right knee first, step it back behind you in a reverse lunge and then pull that knee up nice and high in front of you. Remember, keep those feet just a little wider than shoulder width apart, a little bit wider than hip width apart to help you keep that balance. If you let that foot drop in back behind the other one so you have those feet in a straight line, it's going to get a lot more difficult for balance. And here's your last one right here. Go ahead and let that leg relax. We're going to switch sides. Same thing on the other side. Step back with that left leg. Pulling that knee up nice and high in front and right back into that rear lunge again. Keep that motion nice and slow under control. Really drive that knee up. I only have a couple more. Last one, pull that knee up and let it relax. All right, moving on to the downward dog with a leg raise. Go ahead and get ready. And begin stretching out into that downward dog. Remember, you want those legs nice and straight from those hips to those ankles. And then try to get a nice straight line from those hips down to those wrists. So try to drop that chest in a nice straight line with those arms. You're going to start with that right leg first, kicking it straight up as high as you possibly can. Try not to let that back bow on you. You want to keep it nice and flat. As those shoulders start getting tired, that chest is going to start kind of kicking up. So really try to press it down. Main thing is getting a nice tight squeeze on that butt. You got one more repetition and let it relax. We're going to switch sides. Same thing on that left leg this time. Nice tight squeeze to that butt. Remember, trying to keep that other leg nice and straight. Really try to press that chest down towards the ground. Nice straight line from your hip down to your wrist. Just a few more repetitions through. Get a nice tight squeeze on that butt. And here's your last one right here. And let it relax. All right, moving to the plank rotation kicks. So get into that push-up position. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Try to get into that full push-up position. Keep those hips nice and low. That left leg comes across, kicks underneath, and then that right leg the opposite direction. Try to get a nice rotation on those hips, on that torso. Try to keep those shoulders parallel to the ground the entire time. Try not to let those shoulders roll. Remember, try to keep those hips nice and low. They're going to start trying to kick up on you as those shoulders start getting tired. Just got a little bit longer. And we got one more on each side. Bring it back to the center and let it relax. All right, that was the end of round number 2. Remember, pause it here if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to move right back into the T stabilization. Get ready. And begin. Out in that push-up position, we're opening up to that left side. Rocking those heels off to the ground, and same thing off to the right. Take your time and pause, get a nice steady position, then slowly roll it back over the other side. Wait until you stop wobbling around, especially if you're having a little trouble with balance. Pause and hold until that balance is recovered, and then roll over to the other side. Just one more on each side. Nice pause. And last one on the other side. Hold it. And let it relax. All right, go ahead and stand up. We're moving on to the side lunge with a reach. Ready? And begin. Remember, nice wide lunge. Try and get out there as far as you can. Try to keep that knee behind your toe. Try to get as much of a rotation to that torso as you can as you reach that outside foot. We have just one more on each side. It's your last one right here. And let it relax. All right, moving on to that walk down push up. Go ahead and stand up. Get ready to do that toe touch. Get ready. And begin. Down to that toe touch. Slowly walk it out with those hands. Full push up. And then slowly walk it back up. Remember, you can bend those knees if you need to make it a little bit easier. But if you can, do it with a full straight leg. Now those core muscles in those arms are probably getting really tired by this point. So really focus on that form. Really try to make sure that those hips stay nice and low. Get a nice straight line from that ankle to that shoulder as you're doing your push-up. Try not to heave yourself up as you're walking out or in with those hands. On a nice, slow, fluid motion as best you can. Just keep it going. We're almost done. You just have one more repetition. Nice and slow, walk it out. Get that full push-up. Slowly walk it back in. And let it relax. All right, next one, that leg extension crunch. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember bringing those arms in by those hips. Extend those legs, crunch up nice and tight. Bring those knees back in, arms over your head, but don't let those abs relax. You want to constantly be pulling that belly button down towards your spine. Constantly keeping those abs nice and contracted. Remember, change that angle on those legs if you want it harder or easier. The higher up those legs are, the easier it's going to be. The lower they are to the ground, the harder it's going to be. Just keep that motion going, nice and slow, under control. Keep your lungs open. Nice deep breath in as those hands go over your head. Exhale as you extend those legs out. Got 2 more repetitions. Nice tight squeeze. You crunch and extend those legs. Slowly back. Keep those abs tight. 1 more. Crunch it up nice and tight. Extend those legs. And slowly back. Now go ahead and let those abs completely relax. All right, moving on to that tricep push-up to shell stretch. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, with this tricep push-up, those hands are directly underneath that shoulder socket when you start. Slowly drop it down, elbows tucked to your sides nice and tight as you drop. Then slowly push back into those heels. Drop it back out and push up again. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you can always add in a full push-up instead of a half. Always coming back onto those knees to sit back into those heels. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Make sure that push-up is independent of that shell stretch. You want to keep those hips nice and low through that whole range of motion of that push-up, and then sit back into those heels. Almost done. 2 more repetitions. Nice tight squeeze on those elbows, pulling them into your sides. Sit back into those heels, stretch out that chest and arm. 1 more time, down into that push-up position. Press it back up. And stretch it out. Let it relax. All right, moving on to the next one, the lunge with a high knee. Get ready. And begin. Starting with that right leg first, back behind you, then tuck that knee up nice and high in front of your chest. Slowly kicking it back out behind you again, never letting that foot touch until it's all the way back behind you in that lunge position. Watch that front knee. You want to make sure that left knee doesn't come out over top of that toe. Try to sit back into that heel as much as you can, evenly disperse that weight. Go ahead and switch those legs. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. That left leg comes up this time, kick it back behind you. Then tuck that knee up nice and high. Almost done, just a few more repetitions. One more. And let it relax. All right, moving on to that downward dog with a leg raise. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Move into that downward dog position. Remember, nice straight line from your hip to your ankle. Nice straight line from your hip down to your wrist, making a nice triangle with the ground. That leg comes up nice and high, tight squeeze at the top. Really work on that, getting a nice tight squeeze in that butt muscle. Then slowly back down to the ground, barely tap the ground, right back up. Almost done. And go ahead and switch those legs. Start again. We have 2 more repetitions. 1 left, tight squeeze, and let it relax. All right, last one. This is your plank rotation kick. Go ahead and get ready. And begin moving into that full push-up position. That left leg comes across and that right leg. Remember, pull that knee up nice and high, kick it out to the side, trying to let that foot touch the ground. Try to get a full extension as you kick it off to the side, rotating those hips as much as possible. Just keep that motion going nice and strong. This is your last round. Got 1 more on each side. Last one. And let it relax. All right, that's the end of this workout. Read the workout description on fitnessblender.com to find out how many calories you burned and what muscles you worked. Like our free workout videos? Then help us spread the word by forwarding one of our videos or articles from fitnessblender.com.